Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Calvin Wazoo. I'm Richard, and I've been seriously negligent in that I haven't done a Frank Zappa one album at a time video in a very, very long time. And the primary reason I haven't done one is my ignorance. Okay? Because the album I'm up to next is this one here, Baby Snakes. And, I have the CD, but I don't have it on vinyl. And I kept thinking, well, I'll get it on vinyl, and so I kind of kept my eye out for the vinyl copy, when I was going to the various record stores that I would go to. And then I remembered the only vinyl release of Baby Snakes is a picture disc. And I don't really collect picture discs. I have one picture disc, which I have framed and I have up on my wall because, it is the cover of the Rage Against the Machine album, with the iconic cover of the Vietnamese Buddhist monk self-immolating. That's the only picture disc I have, and it's really the only picture disc I would ever want to own, because of the image on that. And, I'm not interested in, that's what the picture disc would look like, and that's really not what I'm interested in. And so this is what it is. It's on CD, all right? So it was released as a picture disc in March of 1983. The Ryko CD was released in 1995, which is the CD that I have, the Ryko CD. And then Zappa Records reissued a remastered release on CD in 2012. This is a live recording, and it is primarily from the Halloween shows of 1977 at the Palladium in New York City, except for the title track, Baby Snakes, that was recorded live in London in January of 1978, so 3-4 months later. It's a soundtrack album also for a movie of the same name that has the subtitle that goes here, a movie about people who do stuff that is not normal. Frank Zappa, right? The film premiered in December of 1979 at the Victoria Theater in New York City. It ran continuously for 24 hours a day. I'm not exactly sure how many days it did that. Then it was released on VHS in 1987, nearly 10 years later. It took a while before it got released for larger circulation. And then on DVD in December of 2003. I do not have either the VHS or the DVD. So as I say, the songs come primarily from the Halloween shows. There were 6 of them at the Palladium from October 29th through the 31st, 2 shows per night. And then the Baby Snakes, which opens the CD, was recorded at the Odeon Hammersmith in London on January 25th, 1978. So the cover shot, which you can see a little better here than maybe what shows up here. Well, that shows up pretty good as well. This was a candid shot, and the person here with their tongue sticking out was the makeup artist that was putting on Frank's makeup for filming or whatnot, and she just happened to have her tongue sticking out while she was applying the makeup. So was a candid shot, altogether. What is really interesting, a lot of the information that I am using for this video, it comes from a couple books. It comes from this one, Cosmic Debris, which is just a very, very thorough, not the easiest read because of the way it is put together, but very, very thorough history of Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. And also The Big Note. These are my primary sources when I am talking about Frank Zappa's releases, although I also use information that I get from interviews and other articles that I may, find on the internet. But both of these pretty much are excellent compilations of that same material that, might show up, other than maybe in the Wikijawaka. But what I wanted to read to you from The Big Note, I think is very interesting because, Terry Bozzio features prominently on this release. And as is the case with the way this particular tome is put together, there are sections, with the albums that, talk about different musicians and other significant personalities that had worked with Frank. And the section on Terry Bozzio I thought was pretty interesting. So I'm just going to read from it. It says in 1975, Bozzio was playing with jazz trumpeter and part-time medical doctor Eddie Henderson, who heard from George Duke that Frank Zappa was auditioning drummers. All right, so, George Duke, who worked with Frank Zappa, he was also very much involved in the jazz scene, in particular the jazz fusion scene. Bozzio was unfamiliar with Frank Zappa's music, so he bought Roxy and Elsewhere and Apostrophe and didn't sleep for 3 days before the audition. Doesn't say why he didn't sleep for 3 days. One could suspect that maybe because he was listening to the music and practicing. I think a lot of it, though, however, was in listening to the music, his anxiety grew about the challenge he would be facing in terms of that audition. So Bozzio flew to Los Angeles, where FZ, and now here's a quote from Terry Bozzio, had a big, huge stage, sound and light equipment I'd never seen before. Most difficult music I'd ever seen spread all over the stage. There was about 50 drummers around. There were 2 Ludwig Octoplus sets set up, and one drummer would set one kit up while the other one would audition. And they were going back and forth, dropping like flies. So I thought I'd never get this gig. But I thought, well, I paid the money to come down here. I owe it to myself to try. The one thing I'd noticed was a lot of the drummers were sort of flaunting their chops. I thought the least I could do was go up there and listen and try to play with the guy. So what happened is Zappa had Bozzio sight read the song Approximate. Also had him memorize a metrically complex piece, jam in 19, and play a blues shuffle. Now, jam in 19. I don't know exactly what that means, so you drummers out there, maybe you can explain what that means, that Zappa had him jam in 19. Be interesting to find out. Go back to Bozzio quote again. He says, at the end of my audition, Frank said, I like the way you play and I want to hear you again after I check out the rest of these guys. And Frank turns to his road manager, who turns to the other drummers. They start shaking their heads, and the road manager turns back to Frank and says, "That's it, Frank. Nobody else wants to audition after Terry." And so Zappa turns to me and goes, "Looks like you got the gig if you want it." So Terry certainly impressed Frank, and impressed Frank so much that Frank wrote a piece which appears on here as well as on the Live in New York, that was designed for a drummer, and it was called The Black Page because of all the notes on the page, made it look like it was like black. Anyway, so I thought that was really interesting about the whole audition process that Bozzio went through. So about the tracks here on this, no needle drops for this one, but we've got this intro rap that kind of starts off here with oh gosh, now I forget. I was going to say Warren Cucurullo, but maybe it is it is Warren Cucurullo talking to Frank Zappa, and he's talking about the New York crowds, and just a short little bit, and then it goes into the title song, Baby Snakes, which also appears on Shake Your Booty. And it is, it's a good song. Not, to me, it's not, it's a good song. All right, we'll leave it at that. Then we go into the song Titties and Beer, which also comes from Live in New York. Baby Snakes is from Shake Your Booty, or appeared on Shake Your Booty. So with Titties and Beer, this version of it I like a lot better than the one on Live in New York, because the dialogue is smoother, it's better, it's more spontaneous, it flows so much better than it does. They kind of stumble a little bit, in my opinion, when they're going through Bozzio and Zappa going through the dialogue part of that song. And then we come to the song I was mentioning earlier, The Black Page, number 2. So it is important to remind you, when you listen to this song, it was written for percussion, for drums. And listening to this, Bozzio handles this really, really well. His playing is, live, is just absolutely astounding. He really moved into the piece and really accepted it and kind of made it his own in many ways. So yeah, he really nails it on here. Ed Mann, however, on Vibes is excellent as well. I mean, there was music that was written for it later, and the music is almost as complicated, but certainly Ed Mann on the vibraphone, his playing is really, really excellent. So yeah, I kind of like the version that's on this particular release much better. And I hear my neighbor's child screaming out in the hallway again. Oh geez. Anyway, then the next song is Jones Crusher. This is another song from Shake Your Booty. And the version for Shake Your Booty was actually recorded 2 nights later on Halloween, October 31st. So the version that is on Baby Snakes was recorded October 29th. But yeah, Jones Crusher, good song. So, but is it the wind don't blow 'cause the sky is gone? Something like that. Then we get, I think it might be the only live version of this song released, and that's Disco Boy from Zoot Allures. So now, if any of you out there, leave a comment in the down under if there are other authorized recordings, live recordings of Disco Boy. This particular performance of it, I really, really like. I mean, I like the studio performance that they do on Zoodalures, but I'm really liking the way they did the live performance on this also. It's just got a really good groove. So Disco Boy is an excellent. Then we have Dynamo Hum. You know, it's Dynamo Hum. I mean, what can you say about it? It's Dynamo Hum. You know, when I was 15 years old, I yucked it up with everyone else, but you know, I'm not 15 anymore. Then the closer is, of course, the famous Punky's Whips. Now, there is a definite guitar solo by Frank toward the end of this, and he's playing on this custom-made Gibson SG that was made for him by Bart Nagel. And that solo is really, really good. I would have to look up to see if that solo appears like on Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, but I don't think it does. It might. But yeah, I'll have to look and see where else that solo might appear, because it really is tasty. It is gotta be in the top, for me anyway, you know, the top 10, for sure the top 15 recorded guitar solos. There is an earlier solo in the middle of the song, but I think that's Adrian Belew doing that, and it's a very, very short solo. And this was from the Halloween show of October 31st. So it is, yeah, so I'm sorry it took so long, because I really did think for a while that there was I'm going to say legitimate vinyl release of Baby Snakes, but no, it was a picture disc. And I'm not going to, maybe if I find one for $1, I might decide, what the hell, and then, I'll frame it. I'm not going to play it. Because what I've read regarding some of the copies that are out there is that, one of the most common characterizations of it is it's a picture disc, and it's going to sound like a picture disc. Okay. So yeah, going with the Ryko disc, I should probably look up the Zappa Records CD remaster and, check it out and compare between the two, but that's not very high priority for me. So there you go. Now I'm back on track with Frank Zappa, one album at a time, and I will, you can expect me to start doing some more with some, greater regularity, and hopefully not the long hiatus I had since the last episode that I posted about this. Remember, you can find me on Instagram as NewsDude76. That's NEWZDUDE76. I have a Facebook page called Calvin Wazoo, so you can not only find these videos posted there, but a lot of other content, including other videos and articles. It's generally all music related. And yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps, especially with the distribution of my content. So even if you're a subscriber, if you're not a subscriber, hey, think about it. But even if you already are a subscriber, hit the like button because it does help put my content in front of other people on YouTube. And as always, besides thanking you all for following me and for leaving all the wonderful comments that you do leave for me, remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.